Everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Community Banking podcast. Early morning, not first, second meeting. Now, Danica knows what the first was. We have Danica with us, amazing lady, one of the inspirations in BaaS. I would say that I got to meet her. So, Danica, firstly, welcome to the show and thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here.
Pleasure. Who is Danica? Danica runs a very interesting program. She runs partnership for BaaS for Coastal Community Bank in a city that I love. She's based in Seattle. Wonderful lady, very close to technology, gets the bigger picture. That's who Danica is. Almost more than 2 decades, actually 2.5 decades in banking, lifetime community banker. And then she transitioned on to BaaS, a few years back, and then has been leading partnership right now. She does a phenomenal job, a very well-renowned personality in BaaS in the US banking sector. Danica, I don't know if I did justice to your introduction. If you feel free, I haven't. Please feel free to add something.
I think you've put it in a nutshell pretty quick there. I love it.
Yeah, I cannot make your journey for 25 years sound the best in 25 seconds. So I try to do it. It's okay.
There's never enough time.
Let's talk about your journey, Danica. What has been your journey so far?
So I got my start in banking with a large bank right out of high school. So I'm one of those accidental bankers that got in and never got out. Probably a lot of women on your podcast can say the same thing. From there, went to a small savings bank and then moved into community banking, where I kind of worked my way through and became an assistant manager at one of our branches at Coastal Community Bank. I've been with Coastal for 11 years. So then one day a job posting came out and I was like, what is this? Something completely new, very vague. And so the hiring manager was somebody that I knew, and I called her up and I said, what is this? And she goes, we should talk. And here we are. Rest is history.
Yep. So that's the reason you got a fantastic job right now. What you are doing, you're leading partnerships. Let's move on to a question that's very closer to you, right? That's very close to you. What do you think? Obviously you lead partnership for so many fintechs, right? You can just name 10 of them right away. What do you think makes a partnership of a fintech and a bank in the BaaS setup truly transformation?
I think there are a few things. Number one, trust and respect. That's a huge piece of it. I know this is in my title, but partnering, like this is a partnership. We're going to give and take. There are going to be times where we have to compromise,
Right.
and it's not going to be what either of us necessarily wanted. But, I think at the end of the day, having that relationship, that connection with another human being on the other side of the equation, and being able to explain the why behind decisions on both sides. And that's what I tell our partners that are working with us who come with some crazy idea. And I say, why? What's the why? Explain to me why you want to do this. And vice versa, when we're asking our partners for something that they don't, that's going to take time or, use resources and energy, I say, well, this is why we have to do this. And then suddenly, there's an understanding and go, okay, I get why we're doing this. Really cooperating and playing nice and box together.
Interesting. That's the question answer exactly I expected, because what you talked about are basic building pillars, right? Makes sense. Moving on to next is, we all of us know that the BaaS world has gone through a series of ebbs and flows, right? And because of obvious reason, right? What do you think is the biggest myth about BaaS today?
That it's plug and play and the bank is just sitting in the back and everything is easy. I think it's great. It's technology. There's a lot of founders out there, like we've talked about, and they've got great ideas that they want to execute with zero banking behind them, and quickly realize that there's a lot more involved to it than they had thought. And so I think that coming to the table with a very strong compliance team, with a very strong banking background team, that's what makes a successful fintech.
Fair enough. Obviously all of us are in fintech, torn between BaaS, right? I am on the other side. I believe BaaS is a huge future. I was also proposing that why can't we start CAS, credit union as a service? Very similar to banking as a service.
Yeah.
So I am on the other side. I really believe that is the future. This is a growth engine. What do you think, being in BaaS so deep is the future of BaaS today?
I agree with you. I think it is the future. The reach that you can have outside, especially in community banking and credit unions, right? Where you're in a regional location. Coastal is a regional bank with 14 branches. We truly are that small community bank. When I started at Coastal, I think we were 700 million in assets, and we're at over 4 billion now in the 11 years I've been here, which, doing CCBX, we've outgrown the core bank's deposits. And we're a larger, in 5.5 years, larger than what, a 25-year-old bank is. It's pretty awesome to be able to reach a lot of different people outside of just your neighborhood as well. Not forgetting what's important in your neighborhood there too, right? Holding on to your core values in a local, capacity as well.
Sure. One generic question, because I don't want to go into very deep details of BaaS over here because the podcast is about you. One last question about BaaS is talking about trend, right? Be it BaaS or payments, right? Where do you think there's one trend that people can't ignore? I mean, for me, I talk about stablecoins a lot, but what do you think?
I was just about to say stablecoin. What's interesting that I've seen about BaaS over the years is that every year or two, there's one buzzword. There's one thing that everybody goes all in on. And I think that, with the current administration that we have, where there is a support for crypto and for stablecoin, I think that with that backing, that changes things. Right? When you have your government entities and your regulators who are becoming comfortable with something, I think this is something you can't ignore.
Yeah, that is a very well thought answer, I would say. Makes sense. Moving on to you, right? So obviously you've gone through multiple phases of career, working with a large bank, then moving to a small community bank, eventually working for there for some years, but again, then transforming yourself, doing something very different, going in the BaaS space, leading partnership. So if I were to ask you, how do you tackle challenges, right? Because, life is not a bed of roses. All of us face challenges, recover from it, make it better for us and make it work for simple word, make it work. You as a women leader, right? You as a women leader, obviously banking has always been, I mean, more than credit unions, community banks are very male dominant, right? I mean, it's a lot. So how do you tackle challenges in this ecosystem?
It's funny because we had, and you're not ever supposed to say things like this. We had, maybe I'll just speak for myself, no idea what we were getting into. And maybe that blind naivety is what made this so much fun and challenging. But, CCBX originally was a group of women, and I'm trying to think of how far into it we finally got our first male. But we had a great COO who was a male and who really did empower, the team and stepped back, and let us take off, which was phenomenal. We, haven't, we just had the opportunity to push through as women and be able to build something pretty cool. And we probably did it better than the guys did. No, I'm kidding. But I think, a challenge in all of that, or I would say one of my challenges in getting from where I was starting, in BaaS to where, we are today, is really, and recovering from those challenges, I would say, is Moxie. You have to be able to own, and take a step back and a hard look at yourself. And when, the wounds hit, kind of lick them and then get back up and go, okay, what can I learn from this? How do I take ownership of this and not blame somebody else for it? There was a time where I was just way too in the weeds. And, my boss was like, you need to step out. You need to get more strategic. You need to do, X, Y, Z. And I was just struggling. I felt like I couldn't get out of the weeds. And one day she on my one-on-one, she said, I'm going to have to show you some tough love. And that meant I did not get a promotion. And that was a huge hit to my ego, mostly, I think. And, after I wallowed for a hot minute, I went, okay, what are all of the things that I am doing that are out of the weeds, and threw that all, or that I'm in the weeds, threw it all into a spreadsheet and said, this is how I'm going to do this. This is the date of which I'm going to do this by.
Sure.
Took, you have to take ownership. And I can't say, well, it's so and so's fault because they keep asking me questions and I can't help but answer. And so I did that. I showed it to her, had her hold me accountable, and the next time the promotion was available, here we are.
Made it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think ownership is a
In-
thing, even if it's painful.
Yeah, I mean that's a very deep rooted thing that you told me. I'm just thinking about this and contemplating myself. This is interesting. I mean, let me not get swayed by emotions because I'm an emotional guy while I'm doing podcasts. Let's move to the next.
All right.
In terms of leadership style, right? You lead a team right now. I've been leading teams forever. So what shaped your leadership style the most?
Well, for leadership style, I would actually say I would go back to my childhood and my dad. And that is, he gave my siblings and I a lot of soft skills, I think, that, maybe all of us have a little bit of misplaced confidence, as our spouses all say. But, from a really early age, he instilled that in us. And so I'm super thankful for that. One of the things I heard the saying that is leadership isn't about doing more. It's about creating an environment so that the right thing happens when you're not in the room. And I think oftentimes people see leadership as, I have to be in charge, but the opposite isn't really the way that it is. You need to be, a leader and an influence in those people, but you also need leadership is giving other people that same opportunity, right? And being a mentor and that cheerleader. And, I think a lot of people are like, I need to clone myself. And it's true. You need to clone yourself, essentially.
Yeah, fair enough. Makes sense. I think one last question. One is, if you were to advise yourself or tell yourself or give yourself one piece of advice to the Danica 2 decades back, what would that be?
Take the risk.
Difficult question.
Take the risk.
Take this. Do it.
Yep.
I love this answer.
Yep. As terrifying as it is, take the risk. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this reminds me of a Instagram reel I was looking at, I think last night. Same, this guy told, take the risk. There's no better time to build a startup right now. Take the risk. I mean, for you, yes, not building a startup, but again, taking the risk and doing it. What will happen? You'll fail. That's all. Not more than that, right? You'll again learn and get back, but take the risk and do it. Otherwise, you'll think about this 10 years from now and you'll be asking yourself, why didn't I do it when I had the means to do it?
Yep. Well, and I think you said if you don't try it, you might fail. And the opposite is true. You stay where you're at and you still might fail.
Basic.
And maybe how's that for a, happy Wednesday morning message? But the reality is did you fail staying by not taking that risk? And sure, you make, calculated risk decisions. You don't just go off and do something, completely crazy,
This reminds me of a quote that I love from Samuel Beckett. This was once my status of my WhatsApp, I think 15 years back. I think not 15, I think 10 years back when I was a kid. This was ever tried, ever failed, no matter. Try again, fail better.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I like
This
that.
is, I don't, you can just, steal this from
Can
me
I
and,
steal that? I'm going to stick
tell
it on
people.
my computer and just be like, fail better. That's right.
I think
Yeah.
I would want to add another thing, fail again. Maybe I would want to add fail fast. Don't take long to fail. Right?
Fail fast and
Fail fast.
recover fast, right? Yeah.
Yeah, fail fast and then fail better. Exactly. But Danica, this was fun. This was such a natural conversation. Loved it, right? And thank you again for taking your time out to do this with us. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. And this is great. I love hearing all the stories.
Absolutely.